If you thought the first Five Nights at Freddy's was rough, hold on. This sequel doesn't just drop the ball. It picks it up, examines it like a confused toddler, puts it down and walks away. This is one of the worst films of 2025, and I'm about to tell you exactly why Blumhouse has forgotten what direction actually means. Blumhouse doesn't make films anymore, they assemble them. They buy IP, throw cash at departments and hope nobody notices there's nobody actually directing the thing. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a smoking gun. It's a £40 million proof of concept that proves absolutely nothing, except that a film can look expensive and be sound designed properly while having the narrative coherence of a fever dream. By the end of this, you'll understand why this bloated mess somehow convinced the studio it was worth releasing. Let's start with the obvious. Nobody on set understands what the film was about. Not the plot, the logic. The entire premise is possessed killer animatronics. One question needs answering. Why are they still possessed? What's the mechanism? What do they actually want? The first film had problems, but it at least tried. It had structure. This one goes the opposite direction entirely. No explanation, no rules. Just nightmare fuel with a budget. Now, look, I've now spent months roasting films that drown you in exposition. 2-hour explainers where characters stand around telling each other the plot like you're thick. I hate that. This is the other extreme, absolute void of coherence. At least those bloated films explain their mechanics. This one assumes you'll accept possessed robots doing possessed robot things without any real foundation. That's not mystery, that's laziness. I mean, how does that marionette thing even work? And here's where it gets properly insulting. This film is drowning in fan service. Easter eggs everywhere. Game references, lore callbacks, all the little breadcrumbs for the Five Nights at Freddy's faithful to spot and point at. And it means absolutely nothing. Because that's the dirty little secret about fan service. It's worthless if the story doesn't work. You can cram in every animatronic from the games, every location, every wink and nod reference. But if the film itself is incoherent nonsense, you haven't made something for the fans, you've insulted them. The fans didn't ask for a treasure hunt. They asked for a film that respects the source material enough to tell a coherent story. Instead, they got a checklist. Here's Balloon Boy. Here's the puppet. Here's a reference to the bite of 87. Brilliant. Does any of it make the story better? Does it explain why these things are happening? No, it's just wallpaper. It's decoration on a house with no foundation. And the fans, the actual Five Nights at Freddy community, who've kept this franchise alive, surely you can see right through it. And here's what makes it worse. The craft isn't the problem. The acting's competent. Nobody's embarrassing themselves. The cinematography's functional. Dark, maybe too dark, but technically solid. Colour grading is aggressively teal and orange, which is dated as hell in 2025, but it's done. The animatronics, they look exactly how they should. Decrepit, unsettling, properly creepy. So far, so good. Wrong, because none of it means anything. There are many scenes, Charlotte in the background, the marionette, where the lighting is moody, the sound design is genuinely creepy, the camera work is solid, and the actors doing their best. And the scene makes no logical sense within the story. The directors clearly didn't notice, or worse, they didn't care. And that's the entire film. Craft means nothing without vision. You can have perfect cinematography and unsettling animatronics, but if nobody understands why any of it should be there, you get expensive, competent-looking garbage. A film assembled by committee where each department did their job and nobody asked if any of it should exist. I'd rather watch a film that swings wildly and misses than one that's too afraid to swing at all. At least you can see the ambition in the wreckage. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 has no ambition. It's going through expensive motions, but there's no intention behind any of it other than making money. You know what's worse than a bad film? A film where you can see the talent and the budget, but nobody has a spine to ask, does this actually make sense? And that's what this is, a $40 million illustration of creative cowardice. The directors saw what they'd made and apparently went, yeah, close enough. And the worst part, Blumhouse will greenlight the next one because the first two made money and neither required anyone to actually think. I'm being brutally honest, I did not like this movie. Not one bit.
If you are seeing me now, it means that I don't like it.
Not a single scene where I thought, well, at least that bit worked. It's bloated, confused mess that wastes decent craft on a fundamentally directionless story. It's cowardly filmmaking dressed up as big budget, hoping nobody notices the absence of actual vision. I'm giving it 2 out of 10, and that 2's for the sound design. Everything else gets a 0. Who should watch this? Well, nobody. Not the Five Nights at Freddy's faithful. They should feel insulted by the hollow fan service. Not horror fans. It's not scary. Pathetic jump scares that don't work. It's just expensive and dull. And not film enthusiasts. It's a masterclass in wasting resource. The only reason to watch this if you're studying how a major studio managed to spend serious money and get absolutely nothing in return. If that's your interest, congratulations. You've found your specimen. If you've wasted 2 hours on Five Nights at Freddy's 2, drop a comment and commiserate. Tell me which bit made you lose the will to live. Or if you're one of the fans who feels betrayed by the hollow lore dumping. Or even if you're a fan that thinks I'm talking shite. Hey, I probably am. If you're thinking about watching it because you enjoyed the first one, I wouldn't bother. Save your sanity. You want to hear me dismantle more bloated horror from studios that have forgotten what directing means? Hit subscribe, like, share, you know what to do. The Grumpy Scot, signing off, and frankly, I'm great.